من ذلیل گفتید در صورتی که مقام معظم رهبری شجاع گفته بود. به من دروغگو گفتید در صورتی که مقام معظم رهبری صادق گفته بود.
الان بیشتر حضور در توییتر از ایرانی ها کسانی هست که با ما رابطه خوبی ندارن و بیشتر هم از خارج هدایت میشه.
We do not jail people for their opinions. The government has a plan to improve, enhance human rights in the country, as every government should. And I believe we have an obligation as a government to our own people to do that. But people who commit crimes, who violate the laws of a country, cannot hide behind being a journalist or being a political activist. People have to observe the law.
ما زندانی سیاسی نداریم. توضیح بدید. بله. ما کسانی که بعضاً ادعا میکنن زندانی سیاسی، اینها کسانی هستند که جرم اقدام علیه امنیت انجام داده‌اند. با گروه‌های تروریستی خیلیاشون، با اصل نظام، با اصل انقلاب، با سرویس‌های جاسوسی در جریان نفوذ و غیر نفوذ اینا همکاری داشتن. ما امروز واقعا زندانی عرض کنم خدمتون که سیاسی نداریم.
Philip Luther from Amnesty International has pointed to the fact that there are 7,000 dissidents and anti-government protesters who have been locked up, and Amnesty have detailed the flogging and so on of some of these people. Also, no freedom of expression. So how do these internal events, they don't help you make your case, do they?
Well, Iran is the only country in that region that conducts elections. People elect their politicians, elect their leaders, from top to bottom to city and village councils. Which of your allies do that? Not your allies.
But freedom of expression, I mean, this is
freedom of expression in Iran. There are hundreds of newspapers that hundreds and thousands of websites and all sorts of Telegram, WhatsApp, all of these. People have access to the latest information.
امروز در کشور ما آزادی فکر هست، آزادی بیان هست، آزادی انتخاب هست.
And now can you come here and tell me, because these guys outside are shouting, that we oppress these people, we're barbaric, we keep them under oppression, and they still support us? 73% turnout in every election, and it's not mandatory in Iran to participate in elections.
Main reasons that many youths went to vote were also promises of improvement in the situation of the human rights and the release of political prisoners. Now, about 3 years later, we see that unfortunately the situation of human rights has not improved, and in some situations it has even gotten worse.
If people were so dissatisfied that you're saying they are, they wouldn't have participated in such huge numbers. Iran is a people have specific traditional cultural values. We do not again punish or criminalize anybody for their activity at home. What is important is what they do in the street.
The White Wednesdays campaign. That's where Iranian women, as I just mentioned, wear white headscarves or clothing in protest, and they also remove their hijabs in public.
10 women altogether got 109 years prison sentence just because of having their own lifestyle. This is called gender apartheid.
We have dress codes in our societies, various types of dress codes. So I don't think people will find very serious trouble having their private lives lived in Iran in the way they want. And a lot of people do it. If you're a religious person, you can have a very religious life. If you're not, you can have your own type of life as you wish in your home. Our law is based on Islamic code and we don't hide it. You're supposed in public to observe the rule of law, whether it's the dress code or whether it's other rules of law.
These are the Islamic laws, but they should also observe the hijab Islamic, because we are different culture. So they will not have any problem with that. That is the culture of Afghan people that was not imposed on the Afghan women by Taliban.
Why is this continuing? Why does Iran need to work with these groups that are creating violence in so many countries?
Actually, we never worked with Al-Qaeda, we never worked with ISIS, we never worked with Jabhat al-Nusra.
Abu Muhammad al-Masri, also known as Abdullah Ahmed Abdullah. He was Al-Qaeda's worldwide #2 and on the FBI's most wanted list for slaughtering members of our State Department family in the Kenya and Tanzania bombings of 1998. More than 200 people, including 12 Americans, lost their lives in those attacks. The New York Times reported in November that al-Masri was shot to death on the streets of Tehran. Today, I can confirm for the first time his death on August 7th of last year. Al-Masri's presence inside Iran points to the Al-Qaeda has a new home base. It is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Since 2015, Iran has also given Al-Qaeda leaders greater freedom of movement inside of Iran under their supervision. The Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security and the IRGC have provided safe havens and logistical support, things like travel documents, ID cards, passports, that enable Al-Qaeda activity. As a result of this assistance, Al-Qaeda has centralized its leadership inside of Tehran. Ayman al-Zawahiri's deputies are there today, and frankly, they're living a normal Al-Qaeda life.
طالبان در ایران خانه دارند؟ مقامات طالبان در مشهد، در زاهدان؟
من از چنین چیزی اطلاع ندارم. ممکنه افرادی که با طالبان ارتباط داشته باشن در ایران رفت و آمد داشته باشن، اما اینکه در ایران مقر داشته باشن یا قرارگاهی داشته باشن حتما
چیزی به نام شورای مشهد و کمیته زاهدان.
من هم اینا رو شنیدم ولی ما واقعیتی از این خبر نداریم.
کشورتان است؟
برای کشور ماست.
شهید سلیمانی و بنده هر هفته با هم جلسه داشتیم، هر هفته با هم هماهنگ کردیم در صحبت‌های منطقه‌ای. هر چه ما کردیم با هماهنگی یکدیگر بود. اونایی که شهید سلیمانی رو میشناسن، اونایی که با شهید سلیمانی دمخور بودن، اونایی که با سید حسن نصرالله دمخورن، اونایی که با مقاومت عراق و لبنان و فلسطین دمخورن، اونها میدانند، نه شما، اونها میدانند که روابط ما چگونه بود.
The fact that Iran also has, for example, soldiers on the ground.
We don't have soldiers on the ground in Syria, but we were not invited to the negotiating table either.
The deputy commander of our Quds actually was on the record in an interview saying that there is an Iranian presence on the ground.
There is Iranian presence, but we don't have soldiers on the ground in Syria.
إيران هم التدخل الأجنبي في سوريا، وهذا دليلنا الوحيد والقاطع ولا يمكن لأي أحد من أن ينكره.
سپاهیان ایران در خاک سوریه هستند و شانه به شانه ارتش بشار اسد می جنگند. وقتی این فیلم محرمانه به دست شورشیان افتاد، برای اولین بار ابعاد پنهان حضور ایران در جنگ سوریه آشکار شد.
And if there's one country that is interfering in Syria, it's Iran.
ما به مقاومت مردم عراق، به مقاومت مردم سوریه، به مقاومت مردم لبنان افتخار میکنیم. ما به مقاومت فلسطین افتخار میکنیم. ما افتخار میکنیم که به خاطر فلسطین تحت فشاریم.
چرا افغان‌ها را آقای وزیر و سوریه میفرستین برای جنگ؟
ما کسی رو به سوریه نمیفرستیم.
25,000 افغان فرستادیم.
این رو ما کاملا روشن کرد. کسی برای یک کشور دیگه نمیره یک کشور ثالث بجنگه. افغان برادران ما رفتند اونجا خودشون به صورت داوطلب.
حاجی به ما گفت که من حقوق فاطمیون رو ندارم بدم این ما در سوریه، کمک کنید. یعنی کار به جایی میرسه حاج قاسم سلیمانی حقوق سپاهش رو نمیتونه بده. گفت من شرمندم، من اینا رو بردم، برادران عزیز افغانی ما هستن.
در کجای دنیا شما که بیشتر گفتن کارشناس روابط بین الملل هستن دیدین که از مهاجر ملیشه بسازه بفرسته به کشور دیگه؟
Being a Baha'i is not a crime. We do not recognize somebody as a Baha'i as a religion, but that's a belief. Somebody can be agnostic. Somebody can be an atheist. We don't go take them to prison because they are an atheist. Homosexuality is illegal in Iran. Like wine is illegal in Iran. Drinking is illegal in Iran. So we are very transparent. We don't deal with sexual orientation of people, but they cannot exercise it in the street. These are, and there is no death penalty.
The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, wasn't elected by the people, has been in office for nearly 30 years, and if you insult him, you risk going to prison in Iran. How is that democratic by any definition of that word?
The leader in Iran is also elected. Please check our constitution.
29 years ago?
No, and he can be removed any day by a body that elected him, and that body was elected by the people. Every country has their own...
The Assembly of Experts?
The Assembly of Experts.
But the Guardian Council, which he appoints, has a veto over that.
No, has a veto over what?
Over the Assembly of Experts, in picking the members of the Assembly of Experts.
No. در جمهوری اسلامی حتی مقام ولایت فقیه توسط خبرگان منتخب از سوی مردم انتخاب میشه. ما هیچ سمت غیر انتخابی و هیچ سمت دائمی در جمهوری اسلامی نداریم.
و جز رهبر؟
نخیر، رهبر طبق قانون اساسی هم توسط مجلس خبرگان انتخاب میشه، هم میتونه توسط مجلس خبرگان برکنار بشه.
رأی مستقیم مردم نیست. به هر حال
The website of the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, right now, on his website right now in English, he refers to the myth of the massacre of the Jews known as the Holocaust. So do you endorse or reject the Ayatollah's belief that the Holocaust is a myth?
I have spoken to the leader on this issue. He rejects and condemns the killing of innocent people.
But is the Holocaust a myth?
No, the Holocaust is not a myth. Nobody is talking about the myth. If it's there, I haven't seen it. If it's there, it's a bad translation. When you translate something from Persian to English, you may lose something as the film goes lost in translation.
در یک کشوری کسی به افسانه هولوکاست اعتراض میکنه، میگه من قبول ندارم، زندانش میندازن. در کشورهای اروپایی کسی جرأت نمی کند راجع به هولوکاست حرف بزنه که معلوم نیست اصل این قضیه واقعیت دارد یا ندارد.
چرا در مورد ایران همیشه وزرای خارجه‌اش باید این حرف رو بزنن که ما فشار جهانی علیهمون هست؟
نه ببینید این یک دلیل داره و اون دلیلش این است که ما خودمون انتخاب کردیم که جور دیگه ای زندگی کنیم.
I have a request to the diplomats from our nation states and from our European External Action Service. Next time you meet with Mr. ظریف, who is a smiling Ribbentrop, just remember what kind of nasty regime he represents.
آقای ظریف یک دروغگوی بیشرمی هست که برای توجیه و مالکشی جنایت‌های جمهوری اسلامی هر دروغی رو میگه. به قول آقای پومپئو مالکش اعظم هست.
بدانید همه ما در یک کشتی نشسته ایم، همه ما با همیم. امریکا لیبرال، اصلاح طلب، اصولگرا، انقلابی، غیر انقلابی نمیشناسد.